When I was a sophomore at the University of Minnesota, I lost my cousin to cancer, and that was a really tough time for me because what I do in my career now is film studies, and he was one of the main inspirations to what I do. And losing that kind of mentor was difficult for me because then I couldn't really go to him for advice or how to, where to start when I get out of college. So I was coping with that the second half of my sophomore year, and then 6 months later, after that happened, my father passed away, and this was just like a slap in the face. It's hard to explain the kind of feeling. Like, I just felt so dead inside. Like, I just felt so empty. There was nothing that I felt like I had no control over anything. And coping with these types of things, like my junior year, it was just my whole life completely changed. And I knew that the most important thing for me and my family was to be around my friends and my family. And this was what pretty much got me through my living.
Hi, I'm a senior here at the University of Minnesota, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about my struggle with depression. I guess it happened my second semester junior year. I got back from a study abroad trip, had a great experience, and I just didn't really feel like I was connecting with society. I sort of felt removed. I couldn't really speak my mind or even exert any emotion whatsoever. I felt like I was sort of just going through the motions. And I know it sounds sort of cliche, but it was really, really difficult for me because I was having trouble really telling anybody about it. So I ended up basically acting out of my sort of fear that anybody would find out that I wasn't really enjoying life, and I turned to drugs and alcohol. After sort of dulling my life with drugs and alcohol, I ended up sort of going off the deep end and got out of control. I realized I was just trying to escape normal life through the use of drugs and alcohol, and I got into some trouble with my actions, and finally I realized that I needed to get some help. I got a therapist and just started to sort of talk. He helped me just like identify emotions at the base of my problems, and it just helped for me to speak my mind to somebody. And it was really difficult to reach out, but I'm really happy I did because I'm definitely better than where I was previously. And the thing with depression is it's not like you're going to get cured, in my opinion. I feel like it's just learning to deal with it and manage it correctly. And for me, I needed to tell people and get help. And I'm thankful every day that I admitted I struggled with it.
Hey guys, my name is Chris. I'm a junior here at the University of Minnesota, and I want to talk to you about something which I think is really important for your well-being, and that's being honest with your doctors about the substances that you may use. You're only hurting yourself if you don't tell your doctors the real truth. I had a friend myself who was very sick for a number of weeks and was hospitalized a number of different times. And every time he wasn't honest with his doctor about the substances he was using, and maybe on his 7th or 8th hospitalization, he realized that he better start telling the doctors the truth. And he did. He was honest with his doctor. He told him all the substances he was using and the exact amounts. 3 days later, he was fine. There was no complications with him. There was no need for hospitalizations, and he was feeling normal again. The point is, everyone, you really want to be honest with your doctors. They're only going to help you. They're not out to hurt you or get you in trouble.
Pete was he wasn't the most outgoing person. It kind of took a little bit to, I guess, crack the shell a little bit. He never had a girlfriend, really. He was always kind of shy around the girls. And where he stood in like our friend group, he was always the guy that if you had a problem, you could go talk to him. If you ever needed help with homework, you could always go talk to him. He was always just kind of like the guy that was always there. His presence was known, but he wasn't always the most vocal person.
So, what was your relationship like with him?
We had a pretty close relationship. We would go on ski trips together. We shared a passion for music. I know we were some of the only people that really appreciated classic rock. So we would always get into in-depth discussions about what's better, Led Zeppelin or Pink Floyd, and we'd always connect on this different level. And we always talked about, I would always go to him for girl advice, which is really ironic because he was always kind of an observer. He would observe what was going on. And whenever I had a problem, I would go talk to him, and the kid was perfect. He would listen for hours and hours and then not tell you exactly what you wanted to hear, but what you needed to hear. The only thing that was out of the ordinary was how extraordinary he was. He was the valedictorian. He was the football captain. He was very, very skilled musician. The kid had everything going. So we had all been away from each other for 2 or 3 months. And it was kind of like, just one of these things that we had. The Thursday was kind of the family day, and Friday we were really excited to see each other because we hadn't seen each other. I do believe it was the Saturday, actually. And the typical plan was we went to our buddy Chris's house, and it ended up being that we went to Pete's house. We had never gone to Pete's house for anything like that, but sure enough, at 9:30 he had called us and said, "Hey, my parents are out of town, party's at my house tonight." We said, "Sweet, no parents, that's a plus." So we ended up going there, very normal night, nothing out of the ordinary at all. People drinking casually, talking, catching up, all that type of thing. And then, it was about time to go to bed. So I fell asleep on a couch, and, people were falling asleep, whatever. And the next thing I know, I was awoken by a couple of my friends running around frantically. And I was, obviously very puzzled by what was going on. It was just kind of in a haze, kind of groggy, like I had just woken up. And I look over to my right, and there's an open closet door. And I see a few of my friends walk over to it, and then turn around and run away crying and screaming. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, guys just all woke me up, like, what is going on? So, like, I get up and I walk over to the closet, and I look, and there I see Pete, and he's lying there dead. He's not moving, and he's just laying there, and the next thing I know, the cops bust in, and they say, "Everybody out of the house, get out right now." We all ran out, and it was just such a frantic, panic scene. And next thing I know, they were questioning me in the back of their car. They were separating people, and I was getting asked all these questions. It was being recorded. Basically, I felt like I was at a murder scene. And so after my recording was done, I gave my testimony. The cop informed me that Pete was dead. He was pronounced dead, and the initial reports are that it was a self-inflicted wound. I was in complete denial of that. I thought for sure it was an accident.